Oh, I've been waiting for this so long. Hello everybody and welcome. It's back. Finally, we can breathe a sigh of relief because the Chris Pritchard Cycling News Show is back. Yay! Oh, and the Tour Down Under started as well. Yes! Hello everybody and welcome to today's episode of the Chris Pritchard Cycling News Show. Now before we get into the racing news, because it seems that lots has been happening, hit that like button. Just hit it right now. Like a reflex reaction. Bang, like it. Job done. That's your job done now. You just sit back, relax and enjoy the rest of the show. Before we get into the racing news, I want to go and take a look at social media because over the weekend there was a little, shall we say, a spat. You'll see what I did there in a minute. Tom Barras, the owner of Spatswear, took to Twitter on Saturday with this tweet. 4.5 hours in chair, 1 degrees for much at day. 2 crashes on ice but stayed nice and warm in Spats gear. Designed on the roads of Yorkshire. Check out our cold weather cycling kit at spatswear.com. Hashtag Spatswear, hashtag Spats, hashtag cycling, hashtag cycling kit, hashtag mountain bike, hashtag road cycling, hashtag cycle. And in there was just a simple little promotion of him saying that he was out in freezing conditions and he was wearing his Spats gloves, his Spats overshoes, and he was nice and warm and dry. Oh, base layer as well. And he was nice and warm and dry. But Twitter seems to be the place to get offended for no reason whatsoever, and people took this very personally. You had Liam Scott 1997 here saying, why are you showing off about being on the road in awful conditions, which could easily cause a crash for Yo Sleth and other road users? Weird behaviour. Next up, means actually, Brexit, oh God. I don't think I'll be taking advice from someone who repeatedly falls off on ice, thank you. And then this absolute weapon here, Adam Butler 65. If it really was 1 degree Celsius, then you'd be wearing a buff stroke hat for your head and ears. Since this appears to be nothing more than a cheap advert, then I'd say you didn't ride today, and this was filmed another day. P.S. I was out this morning on my bike, and I know what I'm talking about. Woo! Adam, whoa, alright, Lance Armstrong, Jesus. And then lots of other people just saying really positive things about not only Tom, but also the gear that he was wearing. So yeah, let me get your thoughts on this. In the video, he actually says it's minus 2 degrees at one point, which means there potentially could be a lot of ice. And just to clear up that part of him saying that there were 2 crashes, he was actually out on a local club ride. 2 of the riders slipped on ice under trees because obviously the ice just hadn't defrosted because it was pretty chilly. No one got hurt. They were riding nice and slow. Listen, if you don't know who Tom Barras is, son of Sid Barras, legend, Tom is from the old school. Tom doesn't need to ride indoors. If he wants to go out and he's designed a product to be able to go out in those conditions, then fair enough. Go and do it, man. And he's more than sensible enough, and the club he rides with is more than sensible enough to take as many precautions as they can to ensure that they're as safe as possible out on the roads. It's not like they're riding racing bikes with racing tyres in skin suits, smashing it to pieces. In this day and age where more and more people are turning to indoor training where it's much more efficient, much safer, much warmer, and you can actually get your training done without the risk of injury, that there is this almost a need to be out there in the cold to show people that's what real cycling is about. And for me personally, running the risk of getting injured in those kind of conditions, just feeling uncomfortable in those conditions because I don't have any Spatswear, then it's really not for me. But if he wants to go and do that, that's cool. And I don't feel that he's actually promoting that in this video. What he's promoting ultimately is his gear, and if people want to go out and ride in those conditions, that his gear will actually be sufficient to keep you nice and warm in those conditions. If you feel offended by this, you don't need to take to Twitter to tell everyone that you're offended by this. Just crack on with your life. Leave your comments down below. Are you offended by this, or could you not give a monkey's ass? Next up, and sticking with God's own county Yorkshire, the Tour de Yorkshire route was announced on Friday during our podcast. If you've not watched that, click up there and you'll be able to watch that at some point. But before you go and watch that, the route was announced and we're going to take a look at it now. How do it's me, Terry Grimes from Grimethorpe, and I'm here today to let you know about the Tour de Yorkshire route coming to Yorkshire in May sometime. 2 days of women racing, the what? 4 days of men racing. Here. We're starting here in Beverley. We're gonna, I used to know a woman called Beverley. Anyway, right, Bridlington, Filey, I loved them as a kid, I did. Going up to Whitby, all the way up, following coast, all the way to Redcar. Solid route, stage 1, 176k. It's a day for sprinters, that. Hey up, bloody hell, look at all this scenery from, look how bloody wonderful Yorkshire is, look at that, stunning. Brick buildings, sea, cliffs, I don't get that anywhere else in the world. And bikes, look at that, stunning. Hills, rolling countryside, Yorkshire's got it all. There's a reason they call it God's own county, I told her. 17%, look at that. Made for real men. That used to be my house, that did. Oh, look at that, my pirate ship as well. Stage 2 starts in Skipton. Stage 1 for women, this one. Both taking part on same course. Not at the same time. That'd be silly. Oh, Buttertubs are going up good. Buttertubs and Grinton Moor. Oof, tell you what. Anyway, starting in Skipton, finishing in Leyburn. 124.5 kilometres. Plenty of climbing in that one. Hey up, this is, look at sunshine. This is not Yorkshire. I don't bloody believe it. Oh, that is, clearly. That's bloody Tour de France. They've nicked that footage. Stage 2 for women. Stage 3 for men starts in Barnsley. Heads up to Penistone, Holmfirth, Scapegoat Hill, Ebden Bridge, Todmorden, Ebden Bridge again, Queensbury, Banktop, Brighouse, and then heading to town that made him from Star Trek famous. What was it? Patrick Stewart, 134k that one. Starting in Barnsley, finishing in Huddersfield. He loves it. Fourth and final stage starts in Halifax. Heads up, goes past Skipton again, Bardon Moor again, Lofthouse, Patley Bridge, comes around, goes to Ilkley, heads to Otley, bloody beast of a climb in Otley there, and then finishes in town at Leeds. 177.5k. Obviously women will have finished by then, but that'll be men's fourth and final stage of what's set to be a bloody amazing Tour de bloody Yorkshire. That got it? Good. I'll see there. Haworth. That's where Tom Simpson was from, weren't it? So there you go. I know what you're going to say. That sounded very much like Santa Claus, but it wasn't Santa. It was our very own roving reporter, Teddy Grimes from Grimethorpe. Tour de Yorkshire. Going to be very exciting. Anyway, let's finish the rest of the show off with all the racing news. Poosh. First up, let's start with this from the women's peloton, SMH. Denise Betsemer, free to race as UCI announces backdated 6-month ban. The UCI announced that Denise Betsemer was sanctioned with a 6-month ban from cycling following her positive test for anabolic androgenic steroids last year. But with immediate effect, she is now eligible to compete again. Betsemer tested positive at the UCI Cyclocross World Cup round in Hogenheide on January the 27th and at the Super Prestige round in Middelkerk on February the 16th. So let's just be clear, that's 2 positive tests for a synthetic anabolic steroid in her system. She was provisionally suspended after the finding came to light, and the UCI stated that Betsemer's suspension started on the 5th of April 2019 and ended on the 4th of October 2019. Now the reason for this, what appears to be nothing more than a slap on the wrist, you can't even call this a punishment. It ain't a punishment. But the reason behind this is the UCI and WADA have declared this as an unintentional doping violation. And the reason behind this is that she's clearly convinced the UCI and WADA that one of her supplements, which she should be aware of, this is part of being an athlete, that you know everything that goes into your body has been contaminated with an anabolic steroid. Utter horse. I'm not having that. No way. So a 6-month ban is all she's going to receive. And that ban doesn't really affect her anymore because she's now free to compete and carry on in her career. Which then allows a younger generation to look at that and go, she only got 6 months for that. It's well worth trying to run the risk. I mean, if I get away with it, then great. And if I don't get away with it, I'm only going to receive 6 months. Plenty of time to carry on in my career. I'll blame it on a supplement. I'll contaminate that supplement myself, so when they test that supplement, they get the same reading. Hey presto, 6-month ban, slap on the wrist, get back racing. Everybody knows it's down to the athlete to ensure that what goes in their body is clean at all times, to make sure that whatever supplements they're taking have been batch tested already, so there is no excuse. But then again, if they took everything that was batch tested, then they wouldn't be able to fall back on that excuse of saying, well, I took that supplement and that supplement could contain, oh, it does contain something, yeah. Can you batch test the You can't? Definitely that. No. Now in a more positive, not the right word, in a more negative stroke positive news story coming out of the women's pro peloton, the Tour Down Under got underway, and unfortunately for Amanda Spratt, she didn't win it this year. So the American and Trek Segafredo rider Ruth Winder won the overall general classification at the women's Tour Down Under after 4 stages. Liane Lippert from Germany, the Sunweb rider, was 5 seconds behind her. Amanda Spratt, the winner of, I don't know, just about every single other edition of the Tour Down Under, was in 3rd position. Lauren Stevens in 4th, Chloe Hoskins 5th, and Leah Kirchmann in 6th. I tell you what, it feels good to be talking about some World Tour racing again, and it's going to segue us nicely into the men's edition of the Tour Down Under. That finished early hours of this morning here in the UK, and the winner of the first stage was Sam Bennett. So the new signing of De Koning Quick-Step picked up pretty much where everyone else for De Koning Quick-Step had left at the end of 2019, winning. Bennett looked very strong in what was a lead-out led solely by the Lotto Soudal team, getting Caleb Ewan into position, who ultimately, he screwed his positioning up in the end, and the win went to Bennett. In 2nd place was the UAE rider, Jasper Philipsen, and in 3rd place for Bora Hansgrohe was Eric Baska. Elia Viviani finished 4th, and although not really in the mix for the sprint, Greipel had a really good ride in 5th position. Caleb Ewan, as I said, really struggled with that positioning and ended up coming over the line in 7th position. Still plenty to play for both the sprinters and the riders riding for general classification. All right, next up, and a bit of a feel-good story here on the Chris Pritchard Cycling News. Well, I think it's a bit of a feel-good story anyway. So, stage 13, Tour de France, last year, Wout van Aert suffered what, well, it seemed to be a bit of an innocuous crash. He clipped the barriers, he went down. He didn't really get an idea of just how serious his injuries were and how serious that crash was until a few weeks later. And then you realise this could put paid to his career. But thankfully, after all the recovery, after all the rehabilitation, he has just been named in the Belgian cyclocross team for the World Championships in February. Listen, I'm sure there are riders who feel that they are stronger than him and more capable of getting a better result than he is. However, I feel that for Wout van Aert, this is a huge step for him to actually get back to where he's capable of. The chance to be able to go to a World Championships, probably not feeling 100%, but going there with a role to play, to be able to get a feel and a sense of what a World Championship race is like again. And I think it's just going to be a stepping stone to take him back to where everyone knows he's capable of being. And I think once he's fully recovered, especially next cyclocross season, he could be one of the only few people that could actually challenge Mathieu van der Poel for wins. Oh, actually, moving on swiftly, talking about Mathieu van der Poel, his team, Alpecin Fenix, have just been given a wildcard ride for one of the biggest races in the world, the one-day classic Paris-Roubaix. But not only have the team been issued a wildcard, Mathieu van der Poel has been named lead rider for the team. And after seeing what he did last year at the Amstel Gold Race, yes, completely different race. But a lot of people touting him to actually go ahead and win the Paris-Roubaix. Now, the same happened at the World Championships. Everybody had pretty much nailed his name on that rainbow jersey. But we saw what happened in Harrogate when he just capitulated, exploded, and went backwards. Now, I don't know if he's going to be feeling any pressure from people saying that he can go there and win. Listen, the last person to win a Paris-Roubaix on their first attempt was way back in like 1955. It's a huge feat to go ahead and win the Paris-Roubaix, even when you've spent 10 years doing it. So to go there with zero experience of what it feels like, what the cobbles feel like, to actually race on those cobbles, it's all good and well wrecking them, but until you get in the Ardennes Forest and you're smashing it with 200 riders, you just can't replicate that in a recce, and who knows what that's going to do to him. Maybe he'll excel, maybe he will go ahead and dominate and win. But I've got a feeling the guy's going to need a few years of experience under his belt before he goes ahead and wins a Paris. He will win one, mark my words, he will win one, but will it be his first one? I don't know. I don't think so. But leave your comments down below about this one. Mathieu van der Poel has pretty much ripped the rule book up when it comes to riders. He won the Tour of Britain. He won every single, apart from one cyclocross race that he's entered. He won the mountain bike like European or World Championships. He's just won everything. But when it comes to one-day classics, it takes a very special rider. Does he have the arsenal he needs to take victory at the Paris-Roubaix? Leave your comments down below and let me know. And if you don't think he will, who's going to do it? Is it going to be a veteran? Might we see another Matt Hayman style win in the 2020 edition? All I know is I'm bloody excited for it. I'm so bloody excited for it. All right, and that's your news for today. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you've not done already, hit that notification bell so you know when we go live with our videos. And other than that, all that's left for me to say is that looks like it's gone past 10 minutes. Thanks for watching. See ya.